everyone, this is Suzanne on God Crochet and Chatter. Hi, I am back again with another great lesson. We are starting in the book of First Chronicles. All right, at God Crochet and Chatter, you know the drill. We talk about God first, talk about crochet, and we like to chat it up. Again, thank you for all your wonderful comments. They really inspire me to do better each and every day. And I know a lot of your faith is just deep. And I can tell how much you love the Lord by your comments. They are just amazing. And answering the Bible trivia questions, oh, everyone's doing fantastic on that. Isn't it great to be a more seasoned saint that we start remembering these things as we study the Bible? Wow, fantastic. All right, let's get to our trivia question, then our devotion, and then we're going to talk about my problem child. Okay, let's get to it. All right, the trivia question yesterday: why is the town of Canaan significant in the beginning of Jesus? He performed his first miracle there. All right, today's question: which book in the New Testament says, "But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it"? You can find the answer in 1 Corinthians 10:13. Well, I guess I just gave you the answer. It's 1 Corinthians. Yay, everybody got it right. Sometimes the answer is in the question. It's not in the question, but it's in the answer. I like to give you the reference, but that one didn't turn out right the way I didn't see that coming. Okay. All right, we just finished up week 22. Congratulations, everyone. I don't know how many of you are making cards to put on your wall, but this is going to go on my wall. It's great when I look over and see all the weeks. Amazing. We are starting in week 23. Today is 1 Chronicles 1 through 4, tomorrow 5 through 8. And I will put the rest of the information in the drop-down box below. So if for some reason I don't come on, maybe I'm sick or something has happened, you can always continue your readings. All right, let's get to our devotion. I'm going to name this one Spiritual Highlights. First Chronicles. First and Second Chronicles are filled with genealogies. The goal: to preserve racial purity, the priesthood, and worship. Goals are so important. My goal in my life is to correct failures in my family, my life, to bring back the teachings of God's Word, show my life as Jesus directs me to be a shining light, be a servant to others to repair damage, and to break the chains of bondage. A lot of times in families, there is a lot of dysfunction going on. And in today's world, there are many dysfunctional families. And it should be each and every one of our goals to break that bondage and say, it stops here. There's a better way. It doesn't have to be this way. So goals are very important. The book of Chronicles deal with the same material covered in the books of Samuel and 1 Kings. Now, I'm not going to give attention to them in great detail, in great depth. We've kind of been through all that. I will be doing devotions and other things for us this week, and maybe pointing out a few of some key scriptures as we get further along. First Chronicles focuses on spiritual highlights of the nation's history, thus detailing in great length the reign of King David. The initial audience for the book understood from the genealogy that they were connected to the great heroes of the faith. Specifically, the genealogy connected them to King David through the line of Judah's son Perez. Why genealogies? They remind the church the Bible is about real people in real places facing real circumstances. I want to read from my Jesus Bible. It talks about why genealogies, and it does a really good job for us. And I want to share this with you. I figured the better understanding we have of these things, the more we grow and glow for Jesus. First Chronicles compromises a history of God's people from Adam through the times of King David. It demonstrates how God has plans for his people from the beginning of human history. The genealogies remind the church that the Bible is about real people in real places facing real circumstances, some of them triumph and some of tragedy. Now, I know people in my life, and they were real people, real circumstances happening now, tragic, triumphant and tragic, and we have to remember those things. Noah was a real man who built an ark under God's direction so he and his family could be delivered from the flood. Job actually endured the loss of all his children when a storm caused his oldest son's house to collapse. Joseph found himself abandoned at the bottom of a literal pit. Deborah was a real prophetess who sang a real song after the defeat of a Canaanite king. Peter actually walked on the Sea of Galilee. Jesus literally died on a cross and actually came back to life again. So real people, real places, facing real circumstances. Isn't that really what each generation is made up of, one after another? And when I look back through my family tree, I don't know a whole lot about them. My grandma and grandpa, my grandpa was French, my grandmother was Belgium. He liked to hunt, fish, all that kind of stuff. My grandma loved to bake. My mom and dad, my dad was Italian, my mom was French and Belgium. My dad was a very hard worker. My mom took care of her family very well in providing for them. And then my children, my great-grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren, all real people in my life with real circumstances. Generations come and go, each with their stories to tell. Some of those named in the in the record of First Chronicles are people about whom very little is known. People such as Onam, Shammai, Jada, Nahab, Abishur, and Molid. While the details of their stories remain unknown to succeeding generations, they hold a significant place in the line of faith, and each one of them matters to God. This should be an encouragement to the majority of Christians who will never be famous. The details of their stories will likely dissolve into history. But during their years on earth, they played a necessary part in the grand epic of God. One day, when they stand before the Lord at the consummation of all things, they will know the impact of their less than famous lives. By faith, God's people live now for the purpose of magnifying Christ, bearing fruit to his eternal glory, caring more about his fame than their own. You may think that your life may not matter much, and what have I done? I haven't done anything so great. You don't know how many lives you touch by your Christianity, by your way of living, and the example you set before them. And we're going to be surprised on Judgment Day when someone walks up to us and says, "You planted a tiny seed in my mind, and I came to Christ, and I want to thank you for that." And what an amazing thing to hear that you were instrumental and God did use you in a very special way. The New Testament begins with a beautiful and impressive genealogy in the book of Matthew, following Jesus' lineage back to Abraham. The book of Luke follows the trail of all the way back to Adam. The family trees trace Jesus' ancestral line, confirming that he is God the Messiah. Those with saving faith in Jesus stand in a line of spiritual genealogy, a heritage of the gospel passed down from person to person. Believers today have a responsibility. Someone in their past explained the gospel to them, and now they have the privilege to add to that genealogy by helping others respond to faith with Jesus. Wow. So that's the reason why genealogies are so very, very important. All right, I hope you've enjoyed that study today in First Chronicles. And God does things in such a way it's beyond our understanding at times, and we have to trust it. And we have to know that God is in control, God is in charge. Mold me and make me after your will, oh God. All right, everyone, that's it for the devotion. Now let's talk about my problem child. That shawl. Yeah, I'm calling it that shawl today. I was ripping yesterday, man. I was going and I was putting the border on. I got one round done. And then I got all the way to the other side. And the square was coming apart. So I had to rip back 2 rows to get to that square to remove it. Now that has happened to me like at least 4 times making the shawl. And when I looked at the square where it became unraveled, it was beyond me how that happened. So I think sometimes just crocheting over those ends, it's not a real good thing. I think we really need to weave those ends in down through and go up again and down back again to make it secure as can be. Because I think what happens over time is when we wear it and work it or just handling it like I have been, that thread works its way back. I don't know how it did it, how it wormed its way back to there, but it did. And I was so frustrated and so heartbroken last night. I'm going, are you kidding me? But I got my squares back on, and I'm heading around the border again. I think I'm good. I checked all the squares. I kind of pulled at them a little bit and tested them out, nervous as I did each one. But I think I'm good to go. So, a lesson very well learned. If you make granny squares and you're changing colors, weave that in and back around very well, and you won't have that problem. You think I would know by now. I made my granddaughter a beautiful granny square quilt, and so far she's not reported anything popping up, and I hope it doesn't. All right, everyone, this is Suzanne and God Crochet and Chatter. Lord willing, I will be back tomorrow on God Crochet and Chatter. Bye, everyone. God bless you.